Hey everybody, I'm Scott Weichel. You're listening to My Kind of Country. Thanks so much for joining us on a Monday night. It is an honor to have this guest with me on the show tonight. She's one of my favorite people, one of my favorite vocalists in all of country music, and she is just an absolute delight to spend time with. And not only that, she has recorded a brand new album, which is fabulous. And of course, you know her from songs like Nobody and Drifter and Matador, so many of her big hits from the 80s. She's won the Academy of Country Music's Female Vocalist of the Year, Grammy nominated, and just so many accolades, and she deserves every one of them. She's got a brand new album. It's called Nature Child, A Dreamer's Journey. And folks, we're going to play every single track for you tonight, and it's a pleasure to welcome Sylvia to My Kind of Country. Sylvia, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great, Scott. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction.
Well, it's so nice to be able to talk to you again. Just been looking forward to this album. You've kind of kept me posted during the progress of it, and I'm so glad that it's getting ready to go now.
Oh, I am too. It's been a long time coming. From the time of, the first idea of doing this record actually began 34 years ago. And in fact, half of this record was written between 1988 and 1990. So hold on to those dreams, and those dreams won't let you go. I'll tell you, it's really a dream come true for me to have this out now.
That's great. Well, you have written or co-written every single song on this, and I noticed you wrote a lot of songs with Verlin Thompson, and I know he worked for many years with the great Guy Clark and has had a lot of hit songs that he's written, recorded by different artists.
Yes, Verlin Thompson is just a wonderful songwriter and good friend, and he did work with Guy Clark for many years. In fact, right before, during the time we wrote the 6 of the songs on this album, was right before he went on the road with Guy Clark. In fact, that's how I ended up meeting John Mock, who I co-produced this record with and co-wrote several of the songs with John as well. But Verlin was not available to perform with me any of these songs, so I had to find a guitar player who could really meet the challenge of playing a lot of this music, because it's not 3-chord country music as far as, it's very complex chordally. So I met John Mock during about 1991, actually, and we started working together and have worked together ever since.
That's wonderful. He is such a kindred soul, and you guys have such a chemistry together, and he is not only a fantastic writer, but an excellent musician in his own right, and we always enjoy getting to see him too.
Yeah, he's something. I'll tell you, I feel very blessed to get to work with him in this world.
Well, folks, the album is called Nature Child, A Dreamer's Journey, and it's coming out on Tuesday, which is TWOSDAY, because it's 2/22/22. That's a really cool date to have a new album coming out, Sylvia.
Oh, well, thank you, Scott. When I was looking ahead, this was several months ago, and I was thinking, what would be a great release date? When do it, and I was at that point not knowing exactly when we would have it prepared and ready to go, but I thought, well, I'll pick a date far enough out that I'll feel comfortable. And when I saw that 2/22/22 was on a Tuesday, I thought, that is too fun, and really in keeping with the spirit of this music, so I just had to pick that as the release date.
That's perfect. It'll never happen again.
Probably not. For not my lifetime, probably.
That's great. I love it. Folks, you can pre-order this album right now at sylviamusic.com. We'll have that information on our Facebook page. And it's going to be released tomorrow, and we're going to play them all for you tonight, so you'll get to hear them for the first time on the radio. And then I hope you'll go and get a copy of this. And Sylvia's got CDs, or you can download the album. And as I tell a lot of my listeners, I hope you'll get a hard copy of this, because the artwork is beautiful, and my hope is that you'll sit down and listen to this entire project. It's just wonderful to just play it from start to finish, so I hope you'll take the time to get a CD, because it's going to be well worth it.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thanks. And, it is a concept record, and I did not really start out thinking about it being a concept record, but once we had recorded all 12 of the songs and I looked at the project as a whole, I realized there really was a theme. and that's why the subtitle of Nature Child is A Dreamer's Journey, because really it's for the dreamer in all of us, no matter what age. I think primarily people will think of this as a family and children's album, but it's really for the child inside of all of us that never goes away. Sometimes the child inside of us can go dormant, I think, and we can get very focused on being adults and doing the things you got to do as an adult. But I think you really never, that child inside of us never really goes away. And play and creativity and dreaming can be a part of our lives for our whole life. And I'm an example of that.
Well, it's something that I think we all kind of need to hear right now with all the craziness going on in this world. This is a really beautiful, positive message that's coming right up through the middle, and it's I don't think there's a better time than right now for this to be heard.
Oh, thank you. Boy, it has been a tough time. These past 2.5 years or however long, 2 years for sure, and going into our
forever.
year, dealing with the pandemic and the virus, and it's just changed our lives in so many ways. And I think, I always try to look for the positive in any situation that's challenging, and I see lots of positive things coming out of it. As I walk down the street and I see my neighbors, I actually see them outside their homes in the last couple of years, which before that, I think we were all so focused on, getting up, going to work, coming home, having our dinner and going to bed. I rarely saw my neighbors, but now I see my neighbors out playing with the kids in the yard. It's just, I think it's changed us also in some positive ways. So yeah, I think this record, this music can be an encouragement to us all to remember that life can be playful, and if we create some space and time in our lives for doing things that we're passionate about, that we truly enjoy doing, not just by ourselves but with other people, I think it can be inspiring in that way.
Absolutely. Sylvia, I know so much about you, but I really don't know, and I'm going to ask you because I just don't know the answer to this question. Did you ever have kids?
No, I never did. Isn't that interesting that I write a family and children's album and I don't have children? I have nieces and nephews, and I feel fairly close to them. Though they live in Indiana and I live in Tennessee. I guess I drew on my own childhood experiences, and also just honestly, the inspiration for this record came about because of all the little kids that came to my concerts in the 1980s. That was such a surprise. It was not planned. I didn't, it just was a beautiful thing. These kids would come to the shows, and there'd be 10 deep at the front of the stage, and they would all be singing the words to Nobody and Snapshot, and had little dances worked up to them, and it was so precious. And when I stepped back from working full-time on the road at the end of the 80s, I took some time to think about what I had experienced during that decade, and one of the highlights was these kids coming to the shows. And then I had this feeling that, I would really love to have some music that said things to these kids that I would truly love to say to them. Nothing wrong with Nobody and Snapshot and those songs, but they were adult themed, and I thought, what an opportunity to be in front of all these kids, and to have music to sing to them that was encouraging of them and help them build self-confidence and tell them that I love them for who they are, not just what they do, but who they are, and that they didn't have to change anything about themselves to be loved. And those are the kinds of messages, and to dream their dreams, because I was a kid growing up in Kokomo, Indiana, of all places, where there's not any music business to speak of, and I dreamed of someday doing what I'm doing, and I was able to, with a lot of hard work, but a lot of belief that it could happen. I was able to do it, and so I thought there's messages that I would love to impart to these kids to help give them, to maybe embolden them to dare to dream their dreams.
Well said. Well, let's get into the music. Tell me about the song Avalon.
Well, Avalon is one of the very first songs that Verlin Thompson and I wrote for the project, and actually the inspiration was the night before we got together to write. I had a dream, and in the dream, I was holding a clock, a wooden clock, and when I turned the clock over, etched into the back of the clock was my name, and my name in this dream, my name was Avalon. Avalon. So
Wow.
I was talking to Verlin about that, and there was a kind of a mystical quality to that dream. And we got to talking about, what is our identity and what our names mean, and we got to thinking of Avalon as, who we truly are. That's how it felt in the dream, that was my true name, was Avalon. And so we decided to write it with the Avalon being a destination, which is to the true self, the higher self, however you want to say it, of who we are, and that life is a journey to discover who we truly are. So that was the inspiration for the song.
Just beyond the golden sunset, there's a magic land. Take my hand and we will go there. Anybody can. High upon a crystal mountain, shining like a polished diamond, stands a city few have gazed upon. They call it Avalon. Rising high above the city, climbing through the sky, there's a castle built by love where all the answers lie. All who journey to the kingdom find the walls are made of freedom. Every tear becomes a shining star. Standing still within a garden, waters clear and cool, quench the thirst and soothe the souls of all who look into. Only truth can be reflected accepted, face to face with everything you are. You know who you are in Avalon. Life is one eternal moment witnessed from afar. So reach inside your soul and know that everywhere you are is Avalon. So go beyond the golden sunset, take a wish or two, set your heart on all it's after, watch your dreams come true in Avalon.
Well, that's a beautiful song, Sylvia, and a very interesting story to go with it, that's for sure. And I got to tell you, I absolutely love the orchestration. You've got oboes and clarinets and trumpets and French horns. It's just beautiful music.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. John Mock is an incredible arranger. He just did a superb job on this whole album, but that opening of the record is just phenomenal, in my opinion.
Yeah, it really is. It's if that doesn't grab you, then I don't know what will. Well, let's talk about, this is another one that you co-wrote with Verlin Thompson. It's called Imagination.
Yes, and Imagination. I love the story about this song because when Verlin and I sat down to write Imagination, we, of course, didn't even know that would be the title, but I had said to Verlin, I'd love to write a song that would encourage kids to use their imagination. They kind of do that, just innately. We all kind of know how to use our imaginations as kids, but we don't think about it or talk about it. So I said, we ought to, write something that would encourage kids to use their imaginations. And Verlin had just gotten back off of a trip to Oklahoma, where he's from, and had visited his family and had been watching his nephew playing out in the backyard. His nephew had a baby blanket or something tied around his neck as a cape. He had a stick in his hand, and he was marching around in the backyard and waving that stick in the air. And we just started describing his nephew, dancing a melody. He lives in a song. Wherever he wants to be is where he belongs. Painting rainbows in the sky, doesn't stay to watch them dry. And then we got stuck. We couldn't figure out what the next line was. But then finally, as I read over the lyrics, it just hit me. I said, not only had we described his nephew playing in the backyard, we'd also described a butterfly in flight. And then it's like, oh my gosh, he's a butterfly. And then we thought, oh, this song must be a riddle. It's kind of like a riddle. And so, the next image was of a waterfall. We described that. And so the song became like a riddle in the verses. And in the chorus is the part where, you just describe what it's like to use your imagination and encourage kids to use their imagination. So, but not just kids. All of us, we can all benefit from, letting our imaginations go wild and just see where they take us.
I'm sure you'll agree with me here. I'm really glad that I grew up when I did, because back in those days, that's what we did. We used our imaginations. We came up with, games and things to do. We didn't have all the technology and the cell phones and everything like they have now. And I'm so glad that I was raised during that time, because it does teach you to use your imagination. And as time goes by, you tend to forget that. You want to jump on Google instead, and say, well, wait a second.
Right.
I've got, I can think about this. I've got an imagination,
Yeah, we all do. And sometimes we forget to use it. But the great news is it's still there. It's still accessible. We can still use it now.
Dancing a leaves in the sky, doesn't stay to watch them dry. He's a butterfly. She rages and rambles on, never at rest. She's here, never staying long. She plays on the edge. Though she tumbles and she falls, she always gives her all. She's a waterfall. Imagination is your friend. It's the place where dreams begin. If you don't try, you'll never know. You won't know now. Imagination sets you free to be what you want to be. So take a thought and let it flow. Oh, let it go. I follow your every move, your wish, my command. No matter what you do, I know where you stand. I'm along just for the ride, a silent partner at your side. I'm your shadow. Imagination is your friend. It's the place where dreams begin. If you don't try, you'll never know. Oh, you won't know now. Imagination sets you free to be what you want to be. So take a thought and let it flow. Another cloudy day, you can get away to a world of your own. If you just imagine you on a magic carpet ride, you decide how high you fly. Be a butterfly. Waterfall, be a shadow, be a wishing well. Only you can tell how high you'll fly. How high, let it flow. Let it go.
Well, that's one of the songs that I was already familiar with, and you had recorded a version of this on your previous album, which was called It's All in the Family. And we heard you do this live when you were up here in Michigan a few years ago, and it's a fantastic song, and I know it has a personal story from when you were growing up in Kokomo, and it's called Every Time a Train Goes By.
Yes, and so, when we were thinking about, the songs that we wanted to put on this record, I just felt very strongly that we should re-record that song, because I felt like even more than it fit on It's All in the Family, it really fits on this record. And, the setting is of a child, 3 years old, facing their fear of the train. And I thought, well, that, it's got to be on this album. But I wanted to do it a little bit differently. I wanted to bring some sound effects into it, to bring a real train into it, because kids love in a sense, sometimes kids at a certain age they want to get afraid if they like they're like books about monsters and stuff like that. And I thought, well, we need to put a real train in that intro and make it loud. So that's what we did, and we had a lot of fun with it, and I really love how it fits on the record.
I do too, and I love trains. I grew up, we had a lot of trains around here when I was a kid, and then in the late 70s they all disappeared up here. They tore the tracks up and everything, so it's still to this day a rare occurrence for us to have a train going up through this area. So it really, every time I see a train, if I'm downstate or out of state and see a train, yeah, it's magical, and to hear a song like this, it's like, yep, I really do miss that. So I'm glad that you did that.
Yeah, well, thanks. And I always lived near a train track until I graduated until I got into high school. We had a train track in our backyard everywhere we lived. So I do miss. And in fact, where I live now in Nashville, at night I can hear the train yard. There's a big train yard, maybe about 2 or 3 miles from here, but I can definitely hear it from here. And it's just the most soothing sound to me, hearing those whistles of the train and hearing them, couple the cars together. It's a very loud sound, but there's something so satisfying and comforting about it.
My sundress on, golden book tucked up under my arm, when I suddenly heard that sound, filled the valley and shook the ground. My body was frozen, cups and saucers started to shake, fear on the horizon, run and hide before it's too late. Stood still, engine rumbling over the hill, held my breath and I closed my eyes, feared the worst, but to my surprise a loud whistle was blowing. Opened my eyes and what did I see? Right there in my backyard, that conductor smiling at me. Every time a train goes by, my confidence grows. I can face any old whistle that blows. Every time a train goes by. Grows. I can face any old whistle that blows. Every time a train goes, every time a train goes by, my confidence grows. I can face any old whistle that blows. Every time a train goes by.
Well, we've obviously kind of been talking about this next song already, and it's very simply titled "Don't Be Afraid to Dream."
Yes, and I have been performing this song actually for years. I think I did it on maybe the Crook and Chase show or maybe the Ralph Emery show back when. And by the way, I'm just so saddened to know that we lost Ralph Emery recently, and he was so helpful to my career. He was such a supporter of all kinds of artists in the country music world. He was, can be credited with giving artists a really good start to their careers, and I'm among those people, and I feel really blessed about that. But Don't Be Afraid to Dream is really by example, in each verse. The first verse is about a little girl who dreams of becoming a singer, which is pretty much autobiographical. And the second verse is really, and it was inspired by my childhood in 1969 when we watched the first man walk on the moon. So the second verse is about a little boy who grows up, dreaming of someday becoming an astronaut. So, and then the choruses, of course, are encouraging people, whatever your dream is, to dream it and don't let a wish go by.
Once there was a little girl who used to dream for hours with the lights down low. She would sing along, and every single song was her voice on the radio. The moon, her only spotlight, shining on her so bright, follows her across the floor. The stars above are cheering, they like what they're hearing, calling her back for more. So dream, don't be afraid to dream. You can do anything if you will only dream. Don't be afraid to try. Don't let a wish go by. The sky is waiting there to see you fly. So dream, don't be afraid to dream. Once there was a little boy who dreamed of riding rockets to another world. And every night he'd lay down, waiting for the countdown, listening to the engines whirl. There were some who laughed and said it wouldn't happen. That's not something man can do. Now they all believe him. Everybody's seen him waving back to them from the moon. So dream, don't be afraid to dream. You can do anything if you will only dream. Don't be afraid to try. Don't let a wish go by. The sky is waiting there to see you fly. So dream, don't be afraid to dream. Don't be afraid to try. Don't waiting there to see you fly. So dream, don't be afraid to dream.
Well, folks, we are talking to Sylvia today about her brand new album. It's called Nature Child, A Dreamer's Journey, and you can pre-order it right now on sylviamusic.com, and it comes out tomorrow on Tuesday, 2/22/22, so make sure you get a copy of that, and we'll have all that information on our Facebook page. And we're playing the entire album for you tonight because I really think that this needs to be heard, and tomorrow when it's fresh in your minds, make sure you go get a copy of this. It's fabulous stuff. Sylvia, tell me about the song If I Only Had Wings.
Well, I wrote this song with Craig Bickart. We got together one day to write, and I said, I've got this idea for an album. I've got a few songs written that I wrote with Verlin Thompson a while back, and we need to write a few more songs for the record, and why don't we try to write something? And we then got to talking about flying dreams. I don't know if your listeners ever have flying dreams, or if you ever have flying dreams, but it seems to be a pretty common theme all throughout my lifetime that when I dream at night, often I can fly. and I just have the best time just, lifting up off the ground and flying around. So we got talking about that, and so therefore the idea came about as if I only had wings, I'd fly when I was awake, kind of an idea. So that was the inspiration for the song, and Craig Bickart is just a beautiful guitar player as well, and a wonderful lyricist, writes beautiful melodies. Together we wrote some really cool things, but this is maybe my favorite thing we wrote together, and I felt like it is absolutely a perfect fit for this record.
There's some really neat instruments in here too. I don't know what type of a guitar that is that John's playing, but there's a very interesting guitar sound, and there's like a whistle in there, and just some really neat little intricacies in there.
Mm-hmm. It is. It sounds a little bit different than some of the other songs on the record, but there's also sound effects when you hear they'll hear it here in a minute, but that you hear children playing in the beginning of it, and then the song begins, and the sound of children playing comes back in later in the song. But it's just joyful. That song makes me feel like I'm a kid again. There's some kind of magic that song has that is uplifting, and the lyric is very simple but really powerful. I love it when a lyric is simple but can have deeper meaning, and I think this song accomplished that.
I might lose some of my country listeners by this statement, but Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys did an album back in the 60s called Pet Sounds, and this particular song reminds me of that style because he used a lot of little intricacies and little different instruments in there and different sounds, and when I was listening to this song I thought, this sounds like something Brian Wilson would have done.
That's great. What a nice compliment. Well, John plays tin whistle also. You're right. Every song has its own little specialties, but I think the tin whistle also kind of shines on this one.
There's a little bird in the sky. I can see her soaring so high. I can hear the song that she sings, and I would follow her if I only had wings. I can see it dance as I run. I can feel it tug on my string, and I would follow it if I only had wings. If my feet ever left the ground, I'd never want to come down. And if I could, I'd be light as air. I'd let my heart take me anywhere. There's an echo calling hello, from across the valley below. In the distant mountains it breathes, and I would follow it if I only had wings. If my feet ever left the ground, I'd never want to come down. And if I could, I'd be light as air. I'd let my heart take me anywhere. There's a little bird in the sky. I can see her soaring so high. I can hear the song that she sings, and I would follow her if I only had wings. La 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 la. La 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 la. And I would follow her if I only had wings.
Well, tell me about the title song, Nature Child.
Well, of course, when we wrote it, I didn't know that it would become the title song. It was really after the whole record was completed, and I was thinking about what to name the record, did it emerge as the song that I felt in so many ways contains the core theme of the record, and also really brought together the idea of dreaming and discovering our connection to the earth and to nature itself. In a sense, the Nature Child not only means physical nature, like the trees and the birds and the animals and the water and the sea and all that. It also means our true nature, who we are at the essence of our soul. And so the song, in so many ways, felt like it was a centerpiece of the record. And it has it's in a minor key, and it has kind of that kind of mysterious quality to it, too, that pulls you in. And I think life can have that mysterious quality. Sometimes we find ourselves going down paths we didn't expect to be going down, and we're not quite sure where we're going, but once we get there, we go, oh my gosh, I couldn't have planned for this destination, but here it is, and this is exactly where I need to be. So Nature Child also really uses the what I call ethereal vocals that's throughout this whole record, with the exception of just a couple of songs. John and I talked about how do we. I really wanted to make the record have a magical, mysterious quality to it, and so I said, what if I did some oohs and ahs in the background? And so I said, oh yeah, and so we ended up kind of creating a sound that became the signature sound, I think, for the whole record, using these vocals. And so Nature Child really is a culmination of a beautiful use of those ethereal vocals that very much complement the storyline.
The clouds are drifting across a purple sky, and I am drifting too. The wind, it takes me to where I do not know, above the earth, green fields, blue seas. Now I am floating above a garden wall. The flowers sway, they nod and smile. Come walk among us, we've longed to see your face. We bid you stay and rest a while. You've come home, my nature child. For so long you have been away. Come with me and you'll hear me say, home at last, nature child. A night bird calls me into a sylvan wood. The harvest moon has yet to rise. The dark surrounds me, I fear I am alone. But then a voice within me cries, you've come home, my nature child. For so long you have been away. I will light your path till the break of day. Home at last, nature child. The moonlight wakens the creatures large and small, and as they speak, I know them all. I make a promise that I will not forget from whence I come and who I am. You've come home, my nature child. For so long you have been away. In your heart you will always stay. Home at last, nature child. Home at last, nature child. Your home at last, nature child.
Folks, we're talking to Sylvia today, and we are playing every song from her brand new album for you this evening. And it's available at sylviamusic.com. I hope you'll get a copy of it. And it's called Nature Child, A Dreamer's Journey. Just fabulous music. And I hope you'll really listen closely to these great songs. We've got some more to talk about here tonight. Sylvia, thank you so much for giving me so much of your time today. This is really great.
It is my pleasure. I'm so enjoying talking about these songs and going through the album song by song. It's really a unique opportunity. Thank you.
Well, let's talk about Dancing Over an Emerald Isle.
Mm-hmm. Well, this song, the intro of this song begins with a quartet, and the quartet is playing. If once you are familiar with the record, you might begin to say, "What is that melody in the intro of Dancing Over an Emerald Isle. And it's actually, melodically, there are lines from the following song, which is called Home Is. Really, it's melodically pulling from that song to create the intro to Dancing Over an Emerald Isle. And I'll just tell you in a little aside, I'm a big fan of Harry Nilsson. He did a record many, many years ago. He's since passed away, but he did a record way back when, I don't know, the 70s maybe, called A Little Schmilson in the Night, and it is one of my all-time favorite albums. He's singing with an orchestra, and one song leads into the next as he sings, and the intro to the song that he's about to sing is not the song he sings. And I've always been intrigued with that idea. So I said, I wish we could do that on the album. So the intro of Dancing Over an Emerald Isle is really using the music from the next song, Home Is. But then it breaks into this beautiful Irish jig, which is Dancing Over an Emerald Isle, describing basically the field, the place of our imagination. It's like an emerald isle, in my mind, is this lush, rich place of our imaginations where anything can happen and we can create whatever we want there. So that's kind of the backstory of Dancing Over an Emerald Isle.
Wow. So you and John wrote the music for this one and Home Is, and you did the lyrics,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
It's fantastic. Well, I think we'll go ahead and play both of these because I think maybe it's a really good way to let listeners hear what you're talking about and just play these songs back to back for you. So let's do that. This is
Okay.
Dancing Over an Emerald Isle and Home Is from Sylvia's album, brand new album that is coming out tomorrow, Nature Child: A Dreamer's Journey.
Hills rolling in clover, stone walls and babbling brooks, sheep roaming the hillsides, just like in a child's book. The air sparkles with magic, and dreams find their way to the stars. One day you will live them, no matter where you are. Dreams call in a whisper, pulse like a flickering light, soft shimmering stardust, just out of your eyesight. I'll lead if you follow, she says with a wink and a smile. Come look and you'll find me dancing over an emerald isle. High over the treetops, stars light the water below. All you can imagine swims there in the moon glow. Deep under the surface, play till your heart is content. Dreams never let go, so don't stop till you find them. Dreams call in a whisper, pulse like a flickering light, soft shimmering stardust, just out of your eyesight. I'll lead if you follow, she says with a wink and a smile. Come look and you'll find me dancing over an emerald isle. Dreams, they whisper a while. Close your eyes and you'll find us dancing over an emerald isle. The sails are set, my hands on the till. The salty sea winds blow, and the clear night sky is the chart I will steer by. Home is wherever I sail my boat. Fireflies dance and shine like the stars. Their sparks light up the dark. If I had my way, I'd linger till daybreak. Home is wherever my heart can play. The dreams you dream may not come in a day, so love where you are, then give love away. No need to wait till your dreams all come true. There's plenty of joy right here for you. The dreams you dream may not come in a day, so love where you are, then give love away. No need to wait till your dreams all come true. There's plenty of joy right here for you. Summer's gone, the trees are all bare, and winter chills the air. But the spring's not far, and this too I'm sure of. Home is wherever you are, my love. Home is wherever you are.
How did you choose what order to put all these songs in for this album?
That's a great question, Scott. I well, often, to me, the order of the songs on a record are very, very important. Just like when you put together a show, a concert show, the order of the songs really have the ability to carry you along, carry the audience along on a journey together. And this album just magically fell into the correct, what I feel is the correct order. I never changed it. From the first time I put the songs in the order that they are, it never changed.
Really?
That is totally unusual. But as I thought about going from this song to the next song to like what the song talks about, where you are in the journey, there was a reason. There was a kind of a reason that they needed to go in the order that they are. And once everything was was, I listened through it. It was like, oh my gosh, this is the right order, and I never doubted it. So,
Wow.
so yeah, pretty different than I ever have experienced before. It magically fell into line.
Meant to be.
I guess. Yeah.
Well, another song that you co-wrote with Verlin is called My Best Friend. Tell me a little bit about that one. And I love the ukulele on here, by the way.
Oh, yes. I loved it, too, that John could play ukulele on this. John played a ton of instruments on this record. And, of course, we brought in a lot of other wonderful musicians as well. But John is a multi-instrumentalist and just plays everything he plays. He plays just masterfully. My best friend, when I wrote that with Verlin, one of my ideas about a song to write, I thought, I think it would be important to just say out loud in music what the qualities of having a really good friend, what makes that person your best friend. And so we just began describing all the qualities of a friendship where you're totally trusting the other person, you have fun, you can tell them things that they might not want to hear, but they don't take it personally. And who doesn't need to hear that song in this day and age?
Yeah, that's for sure.
I think some of us, a lot of us, we've forgotten what it means to be a friend to someone, and but it does it without being preachy at all. It just describes, it's like, the two of us are different as night and day. Who'd have thought we could get along the way that we do? That's how the song begins, and there's kind of a whimsy to it. It's like, gosh, who would have ever thought that we would be best friends? But we are, and this is why. And so it's fun. It's up tempo. It's joyful, which I think as I look at my friendships down through the years, the ones that have really stayed are joyful. And yes, they have had some ups and downs, but we continue to be friends because there's something beyond what we do and what we don't do, and what happens and what doesn't happen that transcends that deeper sense of connection with another person.
The two of us different as night and day. Who'd have thought we could get along the way that we do? Oh, but we do. It wasn't what we did or we did not do. It was just something that we fell into. It was easy, oh, so easy. I could just tell I'd be knowing you well. I knew you'd be my best friend. I know it's you calling for, I hear it ring. I can always tell you anything, any secret. I know you can keep it. I can count on you being by my side. Even when we don't see eye to eye, we can be true. The real me, the real you. We can agree that we just disagree. And that's what makes you my best friend. Through all the years, some will disappear, but you always shine. Yes, you're one of a kind, and I know I'll never find another like you, my best friend. You can laugh at me, I can laugh at you. Talk about the trouble we can get into. We're a strange pair, You just have to be there. You can always tell what a friendship's worth if you can tell the truth even when it hurts. It's a good one, a knock on wood one. It's got a life of its own. You can write it in stone. You'll always be my best, best friend. Through all the years, some will disappear, but you'll always shine. Yes, you're one of a kind. And I know I'll never find another like you, my best. Oh, you're my best friend. Ooh, my best friend. You'll always be my best friend. Oh, you'll always be my best friend.
Well, this next song is what I would consider a lullaby, and it's called "Good Night, Sleep Tight, My Little One."
Yes, it is. And I think this song is very important in not only that there's a lullaby on the record, but that really, to dream our dreams, even as children, to feel safe enough to dream our dreams, to, you think about it, every night when you go to sleep, when you fall asleep, you leave consciously this world. And that takes kind of a trust of life. And so I thought it was important to write a song that really reassured us, the inner child that we have, and children, that let's go on an adventure in the night in our dreams, and drop anchor on a star and play, which is one of the lines in the song. But it's important to know that if you fall, I'm going to catch you. And boy, that is such a comfort to know that, even if we go out on a limb with our dreams, that, if we fall, life is going to catch us. And so I wanted the song to give that assurance.
You mentioned earlier in our conversation that a lot of these songs were written quite a few years ago. What are some songs that kind of stood out as far as from back then as opposed to now, and the relevancy of it?
Well, I think what has been so beautifully surprising is that this music that I wrote with Verlin 34 years ago, it is not dated at all. It has a timeless quality to it, and the things that we wrote about are themes that no matter, I think 100 years from now, they will be as relevant as they were when they were written. So that was just really comforting, and to know that and to experience that in the making of this record. I think in so many ways, this music is much more relevant and much more for today's world than it was 34 years ago. I think the world wasn't ready for this. I'm not sure that hearts were open enough to say, yeah, I'm that dream I had years ago, I think I'm going to pick it back up and see how it might want to come to fruition today. Maybe it's not going to look the same as it would have if I had done it, years ago, but maybe now's the time. And that's what has been so amazing to me, that now is the time for this record to come out. It was not time for it to come out any sooner than it has. So, I'm living proof that, life has a way of catching our attention, but doesn't mean they have to happen tomorrow.
Good night, sleep tight, my little one. Sweet dreams await in in Avalon. Old Mr. Sun has turned it in. Another magic night begins. Safe in my arms, you're gonna fly across the bright and starry sky. So close your eyes and be on your way. You'll chart a course and take a trip. Your feather bed will be your ship. You'll float upon a sea of air, first mate to Captain Teddy Bear, and just beyond the Milky Way, drop anchor on a star and play until it's time to open your eyes. While you're sleeping, softly breathing, I'll be near if you should call. So climb upon a dream tonight. I'll be there to catch you if you fall. Good night, sleep tight, my little one. Sweet dreams await in Avalon. Old Mr. Sun has turned it in. Another magic night begins. Safe in my arms, you're gonna fly across the bright and starry sky until it's time to open your eyes. Good night, sleep tight, my little one.
Well, that leads me right into the next song. What a great segue. It's called Hey, Hey, Hey. It's a New Day.
Yeah, I love the simplicity of this song and the, I years ago I had a friend who had several daughters, and as each daughter graduated high school, he told each daughter, for your graduation present, you get to go anywhere you want to go, and I'll take you there. That just you and me will go on this vacation for like a week or 10 days or whatever it was. And that was the gift he gave to each one of his daughters as they graduated. And I was always so taken with what a beautiful idea that was. And that made me think about how important it is for kids to have a day with a parent where just all they do is just kind of follow their instincts and go and just play and lay and watch the clouds and listen to the birds and skip stones in the creek or on the pond, and that's kind of the inspiration for this song, that every day is a new day, full of possibilities. But we have to think about it that way. If we think, oh, another day, our thinking creates our reality in so many ways. And so this song, I think, is an encouragement to, spend a day with somebody that you really deeply care about, a child, a grandchild, a good friend, and get out there in nature. And I think nature has a resonance that we have the ability to resonate with and feel a part of this earth. And I think that is one of the most important themes of this record, that we are nature. We have forgotten as a culture, I think, and as a world culture, so much that we're not apart from the trees and the birds and the air and the water. We're stewards of all of that, and we are that. We are a part of that. And if we are harming in any way any part of nature, we're harming ourselves. So this song doesn't say any of that, but it says by just example, it's a day out there with a child in a meaningful way that connects you with the earth.
Let me see those eyes, you sleepyhead. Time to stretch and yawn and roll out of bed and be on our way. Hey, 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 it's a new day. Give me one more hug and we're out the door. Take the garden path where our hearts can soar. Couldn't ask for more. Hey, 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 it's a new day. Every day's a brand new canvas. We paint the world we see around us, and then we start again. We can skip some stones down by the creek, lay and watch the clouds, maybe fall asleep, just you and me. Hey, 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 it's a new day. There's a bluebird singing songs of hope. She can teach us how to sing note for note if we listen close. Hey, 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 it's a new day. Every day's a brand new canvas. We paint the world we see around us, and then we start again. Life is just one big long minute, so take your time, no rush to finish, no. And on it goes. There's a rosy glow on your sleepy face. Now it's off to bed, you have dreams to chase, till you hear me say, hey, 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 it's a new day. Hey, 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 it's a new day. Hey, 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 it's a new day.
You know, the thought came to me, and I'm going to bring this up because maybe this is something you've already thought of, but have you thought about putting this project together as a book also?
Yes, I have been thinking about it, and I have a kind of a outline of the story that might bring it all together, but it needs to be fleshed out. I've even thought about each song, writing a chapter around each song, and then that would be a book. I don't know how it will come together, but I think there is a book in the future for sure. Thank you for asking.
I also wanted to talk about the album cover. It's an absolutely beautiful concept cover. Tell me a little bit about how you came up with that.
Well, John Mock and I always design the album covers together, and this one was a real challenge because we had completed the recording of the whole record, and it's like, oh my gosh, we were so pleased with how the music turned out, and there's kind of an epic regalness about this record, but yet it's very intimate, and it's like, how do we create an album cover that reflects the essence of this music? And we thought about many different ideas, but when we came to the idea of the very first line in Avalon of, just beyond the golden sunset, there's a magic land. Take my hand and we will go there. Anybody can't. We can go there. So anyway, I imagine the image, and just like in songwriting, the image came to me of me reaching out my hand and a child or something running toward me. And we had seen some photographs, actually, that kind of also sparked that idea, and we just kind of put it all together. It's like, there's a golden sunset in the background. I'm holding out my hand, and and so then we began trying to figure out, well, how do we create that? So it was very complex. It was the most complex cover we have ever designed, but I am so pleased with how it turned out.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Again, folks, I really recommend that you get a hard copy of this, for not only for that reason, but just, again, to be able to listen to all these songs in their entirety. So please go to sylviamusic.com and order a copy of this. I think it's just the way to be. We've got one more song to talk about, and we're going to play that one, and we've got them all in here, so you're going to hear the whole album tonight, folks. This one is called I Love You for Who You Are.
Yes. It's pretty self-explanatory in a way.
Yeah.
I thought it was very, very important. When I saw those kids all those years ago at my concerts, one of the most important, meaningful things that I wanted to say to them is that I love you. I love you for who you are. It's not about what you do or don't do. All that's fine, but I just love who you are, and I wouldn't change anything about you. And that, I felt like, man, that is something not only a kid, but as an adult, we all need to hear that we are loved unconditionally. So that was the inspiration for writing that song. And also, I thought, that idea, I felt like I would love that to be the ending song of a concert. And so I also had that in mind when I wrote it with Verlin, that maybe it would be the song that would be the closer, and so it made the perfect closing song for this record.
We've had the grandest day, and you know I'd love to stay. Come sit here by my side before we say goodbye. I won't forget your laughter. Your smile is all that matters, and I want you to know I love you for who you are. Your hands inside of mine, we're friends now for all time. A love no words can say is just a thought away, and you can take this with you to use it when you need to, wherever you go. I love you for who you are. There's nothing I'd change about you. I love just what I see, looking back at me. You need inside you, so reach out for the stars. Love yourself, believe in who you are. If you dream on back this way, remember how it felt to be loved for yourself. We'll always have this moment, you can bet your dreams upon it. Oh, and you'll never lose, 'cause I love you for you, and not for what you do. Love yourself for who you are. Who you are.
So what's on the horizon for you this year as far as getting out and promoting and touring with this album?
Well, I'm really chomping at the bit to get out there and do some shows. And in intimate settings, I think, would be the appropriate place for a lot of this music to be done. Maybe libraries, schools, small theaters, who knows. But I'd also can imagine doing it with a large orchestra, because it very much lends itself to that, because there's lots of strings on the record. It all depends on what's happening with the virus. That's the real one caveat. But as soon as things are clear and we feel safe to get out there again and do shows, I want to be out there singing this music for the kids that came to my shows back when, and who are now adults and have kids of their own, and probably even grandkids. I want them to bring their families to these shows, and people that have never heard my music. I think there's an opportunity for people that were not, aware of my career in country music to discover this music totally fresh and anew and apart from what I did in the past. So that's my dream.
That's really awesome. Well, Sylvia, thank you so much for being so giving of your time today and sharing your thoughts and sharing this wonderful new music with our listeners tonight. It's been an honor to have you on the show. And I also want to say a big thank you to Elizabeth Waldman Frazier and Waldmania PR. Wonderful lady, and I think she is right on target with getting this out there. I've already seen so much great press on it and so many fantastic articles and other interviews that you've done. So it's really getting out there. I think this is going to just really be an incredible project for you.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Scott. And I want to add, too, that when people go to my website, sylviamusic.com, there'll be buttons that they can click on that will take them to wherever they can download the record or where they can buy the CD. But, you can go directly also to, starting tomorrow, you can go to Amazon.com and order the record. You can go to Bandcamp. Bandcamp is another great destination to go to. And for people that really care about the sound quality of the recording, audiophiles, those folks that really want the high-resolution recording, go to Bandcamp.
On a personal note, Sarah and Merritt wanted me to be sure to tell you hello, and we are so looking forward to you coming back to Michigan again, and so we can get together and hopefully have lunch again and meet at the right place this time instead of going to two different places.
Oh, that was fun. But we met up. We made it work. That's great. Yeah. I hope to definitely come back up that way and do shows. I just loved the time we spent together, and I'm sure we'll get to do that again.
Looking forward to it. Please tell John we said hello, and Matt McGee. I know he's playing on this album, and of course he tours with you as well, and be sure to tell him we said hi too.
Okay, I will, Scott. Thank you.
All right, that is Sylvia here on My Kind of Country, folks. Thank you so much, Sylvia. We had a great time tonight.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. I had a great time.